Plans for mandatory digital IDs will apparently be dead in the water in 6 months in the face of mounting opposition to the plans. Sir Keir Starmer has been warned by his former advisor Peter Hyman. Well, I spoke earlier today to Labour MP Alex Ballinger. He was at the Liverpool Labour conference, and I was outside the White House, and this was our exchange. The suspicion is that the numbers which are coming across are being used now as a brilliant excuse to push through digital ID. I've not seen one MP yet be able to explain, no politician can explain how that would help cure the migrant crossing crisis by safe law-abiding citizens walking around with a digital ID in their phone. It doesn't add up. The British people aren't stupid, and there's no way you're going to get consensus on digital ID from the British population. If you don't get that consensus, this policy will not work, will it? You need 100% of people on board with that. At the moment, we've got a petition. I think it's over 2 million people now just saying, I do not comply. What does Keir Starmer do then?
So I think digital ID is going to be extremely useful for the British public. It's going to make it much easier for you to open a bank account, to buy a house, to rent a house, to go through all of those interactions that you have with the government at the moment that are quite complicated and difficult. You've got to dig around for those utility bills. It's also, by the way, something that is used in almost every other country in Europe. Everywhere I've worked in the past has had a digital ID. That has been very effective. It reduces the costs on consumers and the costs on the government, so we can invest in other areas as well. And of course, it has the benefit of making it more difficult to work here illegally. Now, I know there's been the petition, and I know some people have raised some concerns. We should absolutely be talking to people and making the case about why this is not an infringement on your civil liberties. You give way more data away to social media companies, to tech companies, to other private individuals than you might be in the case of the government in this ID, and it will be making people's lives easier. It will help us reduce illegal migration, and I think once people understand the policy a bit more, they'll realise that and support it.
I'm not sure I don't know whether you just lack imagination or whether you genuinely believe what you're telling me here, because it is a very small step between a digital ID and a social credit system with the British people beholden to a government that has powers beyond your wildest dreams of how you can control the population. And I ask you again, if 100% of the people in this country don't support it, what happens then? Are you going to put over 2 million people in prison if we don't have a digital ID?
So I think we shouldn't be talking about some sort of dystopian sci-fi novel. The digital ID is not mandatory. You're not going to have to carry it around in your pocket. No police are going to be inspecting you to make sure you have it. It's to make those transactions with the state slightly easier and slightly more secure. So you might need it, or you will need it, when you're registering for a new job, when you're maybe doing some financial transactions around a particularly large purchase, or interacting with HMRC. These are sensible things that you need your ID to do to access at the moment anyway. So there's no real change apart from making it simpler to facilitate. I honestly don't think when people really understand the policy and they ignore the scare stories that are being put out by particular people on social media, if they understand the simplicity of this thing, that they will oppose it.
Well, I disagree with you on that, Alex, but I appreciate your time enormously today from the Labour Party conference. Thank you so much. That was Alex Ballinger, MP there for the West Midlands, and he talks about, well, it's not a dystopian sci-fi novel, is it? It is, Sarah. It genuinely is a dystopian sci-fi scenario, potentially.
I mean, the warnings from some within Keir Starmer's own party about the potential damage that these digital IDs are going to do. The mood music from the UK is just not good around this for Starmer.
This is not going away.
Now, plans by Sir Keir Starmer to roll out mandatory digital ID cards for UK workers have been met with widespread backlash from across the country. And now we can report that over 2.5 million people have signed the petition against their introduction. reduction. Now, an exclusive polling seen exclusively by GB News, courtesy of our friends at Electoral Calculus, proves that the opposition is across the political and the age divide. Let's now speak with the CEO of Electoral Calculus, Martin Baxter. Martin Baxter, always a pleasure to have your company. Thank you very much for sharing this exclusive data with us. Let's start with the fascinating political backlash against this. And Martin Baxter, we can see there's wide support from the traditional parties, but the newer parties are rejecting it.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So this poll that we've done with our partners Find Out Now, we did the sample on Friday, about 1,000 people, and excluding the don't knows, we found 46% of people against the digital ID cards and only 27% in favour, with the rest in the middle. There we go, we got the graphs there. But it's not a left-right divide, as you were saying. That interestingly, both Labour and Conservative voters, by a small margin, support the plan. But Reform voters, Liberal Democrats and Greens, are all against by quite heavy margins. Reform voters particularly against. But if Keir Starmer's aim is to get maybe some Reform voters back to Labour and persuade Lib Dems and Greens to support him, this is actually not the sort of policy that's going to do it. Those voters, the key ones he's trying to attract, are repelled by this policy. So it just goes to show politics is sometimes a bit more complicated than you expected. We thought it might have been a straight left-right split, but it isn't. It's more complicated than that. The old centre parties are for it, they're quite evenly balanced, and others are against.
Martin, the age split, to me, is absolutely fascinating. We're led to believe this is old duffers who don't like change. In actual fact, the rebellion is being led by the younger voters, and perhaps Martin Baxter, that's because they remember the pain that lockdowns caused them.
Isn't that interesting? Yes. So we see that amongst the age 18 to 39s, over 50% oppose and fewer than 20% support. But all age groups are opposed, but the younger generation more opposed than anybody else. So again, quite interesting findings that maybe we wouldn't have expected. But as you say, it may be to do with lockdown or other attitudes amongst the young. But it's neither the young nor supporters of other parties are really groups that Labour should be trying to reject at the moment. So it's excuse me.
Martin, as you say, what's fascinating about this, Martin, is that the Labour Party is putting itself out there as it wants to lower the age that you're eligible to vote, and they thought that was a shoo-in. That could backfire because Jeremy Corbyn's party, the Greens, Nigel Farage's party, seem to be attracting a lot of younger people, and precisely this kind of policy is repelling young people.
Yes, I mean, the trouble with being the establishment party, which Labour to some extent now is, in some ways it's good. It means you get lots of the establishment behind you. But younger people are always looking for something to rebel against, and Labour could be that something. So it's Labour can't take the youth vote for guaranteed, I'd say.
Beautiful stuff, Martin Baxter. Always a pleasure. Thank you for your company as ever.